Welcome back to Murder with the Missus. I'm Darren.
And I'm Amy. And today we're going to tell you about Brittany Phillips, Totinika Alex, and Emily Morgan.
Don't forget to smash that like button. Check out the description for the links of all of our podcast platforms, Cash App, and Buy Me a Coffee. Like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to tell your friends. As always, tell your friends because you know what? They deserve to see us too.
They do.
Don't be rude.
It makes me laugh every time you said they deserve it. We're a treat. We're amazing.
All right, so what story we got today?
We have two. Okay. That's why there's three names in the title because one case involves two people.
Yep.
So we covered two unsolved disappearances from Oklahoma on Tuesday. And I think we'll go ahead and cover two unsolved murder cases in Oklahoma as well. The cases for today, though, do have recent progress. So that's when we're going to talk about them. We'll start with 18-year-old Brittany Phillips. She was born on October 4th of 1985 to John and Maggie. At the time this case took place, John was a former DA and Maggie worked as a psychologist at Mabel Bassett, which is a women's prison in McLeod, Oklahoma. Brittany graduated from Union High School in 2003 and headed off to college in St. Petersburg, Florida. She was on a mission, so the plan was to start in Florida, but finish out at Oklahoma State University to get her degree in pharmaceutical research. Her grandmother had passed away from cancer, so she was trying to look for a way to help find a cure.
Well, good for her.
I know. Now, sadly, she only made it a year in Florida before she got too homesick and decided to come back to Tulsa to be closer to family. But that didn't change her plans. It just changed how she was going to get there. So she enrolled in TCC, which is Tulsa Community College, to get the basics done before going to OSU, Oklahoma State University. So when I said sadly, it wasn't because her plans were derailed. It was more weather related. We get all the seasons here, even when it's not their turn. And sometimes all in the same day.
Yeah, because here lately, we've been getting freaking dumped on by the rain.
Yeah, it's the rainy season for sure.
Shoot, I'm going to have to get a boat mower.
There was some flooding issues the other day.
Yeah.
For sure. But we don't get hurricanes, so you can keep those, Florida.
But we get tornadoes.
We do.
And frequently.
It's the nadir season. So, you'll find us on the back porch.
It gets cold. If it gets cold during the summer, there's a tornado around.
It's coming.
Just saying.
Yep. Now, Brittany moved into a second floor apartment in Glen Eagle apartment community on 65th Street in Tulsa. Now, this was closer to TCC, but it was about an hour away from her mom who lived in Chandler. On September 27th of 2004, Brittany was having sinus issues or allergy issues. She was sick. Maggie says that Brittany had tried to get in to see a doctor but never could get in, so she ended up at urgent care. Maggie also says that if things didn't go her way, that Brittany would get very upset. So when she talked to Brittany on this day, she was definitely upset. She had been waiting for 2 hours and hadn't been seen. So she decided to leave urgent care. She said she was going to drop a friend off at her house and then go to her apartment because she had early classes the next morning and she just couldn't sit around and wait anymore.
Yeah, I mean, wait time in these urgent cares and stuff, they are freaking ridiculous.
It gets wild.
Yeah, I mean, every time when she's like, man, I need to go to urgent care, I'm like, I'm good. I will get freaking healthy all of a sudden.
Yeah, I don't have 12 hours to spend.
No.
Yeah. Now, she had a class at 8 a.m. the next morning, so she was like, I got to go. I can't sit around here all night. But she didn't show up for that 8 a.m. class. Friends said that she was probably still sick and just sleeping it off. They called and she didn't answer. Same for Maggie. She was calling to check on her and wasn't getting an answer either. On the 28th, the 29th, the 30th. So on the 30th, one of her friends went to check on her in person. The apartment door was unlocked. She called Brittany's name, but she still wasn't getting an answer. So she called the cops to come and do a welfare check. Police arrived around 10 p.m. and they found her body in her bedroom.
Oh, wow.
She was on the floor next to her bed. She was on her back with her feet towards the head of the bed, and her head was turned towards the right. The coroner reported that there were numerous towels laid on her and clothing adjacent to her because she was laying there wearing only a shirt. She had petechial hemorrhaging in her eyes and abrasions on her neck. Now I'll go ahead and put in here the rest of what the ME report ended up saying. That way you have a full picture. The cause of death was stated as being asphyxia due to neck.
So before you do that, trigger warnings. Because we got to say trigger warnings.
Well, we can say trigger warnings.
So.
Yes. So we're going to talk about it. So if you don't want to hear it, fast forward a little bit, but it's not too gruesome.
I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fine.
People get triggered these days by anything.
They do.
I mean,
right.
Just trigger warnings.
Yes. So the cause of death was asphyxia due to neck compression, and the manner of death was a homicide. There were no signs that a ligature was used, and her hyoid bone was still intact. Her toxicology report showed that she had no substances in her system.
Well, sounds like murder to me.
Oh, yeah. They knew right off the bat. Another unanswered question is about sexual assault. There was no mention of any signs of a sexual assault, no report of an SA kit being done, but she was only wearing a shirt and nothing else from the reports. So I would think that checking that wouldn't be too big of a stretch. And they couldn't really nail down a good time for the time of death either. The ME report definitely did not. It was pretty much any time from 9 p.m. on the 27th after she talked to her mom on the phone and 8 a.m. on the 28th when she didn't show up for class. Now, let's talk about the crime scene. We already said that the apartment door was unlocked. Her bedroom had a door that led out onto the balcony, and that door was ajar. She had been known to leave that door unlocked regularly. In fact, one time she had locked herself out of the apartment and she had someone give her a boost onto the balcony so she could just get in that way because she never locked it. Her windows were also open. There was semen found on the sheets of her bed, and there was some blood in the kitchen sink. And they would go on to find out that the semen and the blood belonged to the same person, and it wasn't Brittany, obviously.
I mean, really?
Really.
And they didn't do a kit on her?
Nope. Not that we know of.
Good job, people.
It was never reported. It could be something that they're keeping quiet, but...
Whatever. They didn't do it.
Yeah, they didn't do it. And that's basically all they knew.
And where was this at?
It's at Glen Eagle Apartments in Tulsa.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So that's all they know is that it belonged to one person, but it wasn't her. And they're like, okay, that's it. They would end up having a sketch done using DNA phenotyping that came up with a sketch of a white male with a fair complexion, possibly green or blue eyes with brown or blonde hair.
And when I say, oh, yeah, there you go. I wasn't talking about the apartments or anything. I was talking about it being Tulsa. Okay. So,
yeah.
So were they able to do that back then?
The phenotyping. So it was starting to be done back then, but it wasn't big yet like it is now. But in Brittany's case, they actually had this sketch done around 2018. So it was many, many years later. And they actually found out who that guy was. They were in high hopes that they had finally found her killer. But did they? So it was all over the news. Like, we've got a suspect, and then here's this guy. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. The DNA belonged to a boyfriend of one of Brittany's friends. There were some forums, I guess is the best way to put it out there, to say that Brittany was actually friends with this man, but all of her mother's reports and interviews and things like that say that Brittany was friends with the female in the relationship, and this was her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Either way, he says that semen on her bed was actually from a week before her death. He and his girlfriend had had sex on Brittany's bed. Gross. The blood in the kitchen sink, I haven't seen an explanation for that. And I don't think he remembered how that blood got there because he's like, I couldn't tell you about that one. But it was there. And while he wasn't with his girlfriend the night that they believe Brittany was killed, he did have an alibi that the police say checked out. So he wasn't around the area when Brittany died. Mm-hmm. Even though I haven't seen anywhere that says what his actual alibi was, I suppose that's none of our business.
Well, I'm sure they'll it being an Oklahoma case, they'll probably put it in the comments.
Well, it did lead to a lot of speculation that maybe there was more to that than what they let on. Like maybe some possible familiarity with some of the investigating agencies. I'm just saying. That's speculation. Either way, he was never arrested as a suspect. Now back to the murder. Afterwards, Maggie had started thinking that maybe the killer could be a drifter.
A drifter?
Mm-hmm. Just a transient. Someone just passing through the area.
Passer through her.
Yeah, a passer through her. That'd be the technical term for it.
Not the Tokyo drifter.
Everything's cars.
I'm just saying.
So what Brittany's mom did is she got a minivan in 2007 and she had it wrapped. Now, this is pictures of Brittany. It's got the tip line phone numbers on it and big words that say caravan to catch a killer. She made sure it was pink and purple because those were Brittany's favorite colors. And she started driving this van all around the country.
I mean, that's pretty smart.
Very. She would do tours. She would roll into different towns and be interviewed by local news and things so that she was able to spread the word about Brittany's case. The last stats I saw for the caravan was, I believe, as of last year. They had 5 cars, had been to 48 states, and had logged over 300,000 miles in the 23 tours that she has done since her daughter's death. Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah. She's on a mission.
That's kind of like, was it Laura Bible and
Ashley Freeman?
Though I guess, which one was the mom's?
It was Laura's mom, I think.
Laura's mom. She did something similar.
She was out investigating.
But she put a lot of miles in.
She did.
And she was out investigating. I mean, she's doing the most.
She was ready to get it.
She was talking with the cartel. She was talking with everybody.
She was.
Yeah, she's doing everything.
Yes, sir. Now, Maggie has said in interviews that she's going to keep doing this caravan until she dies. But hopefully the killer will be caught before it gets to that point. Also in 2007, the police released to the public that there was a faded purple pillowcase that had been found in the apartment. It didn't match anything else that Brittany owned. It had a bleach spot on the end that was sewn shut. So they believe that this is something that the killer maybe brought with them. Maybe something to carry stolen stuff in. Like if you're going to burgle somebody. I'm just saying, burgle. We've also talked about the DNA bringing the case to the forefront in 2018, but it also would come back into the press and everywhere else in 2023.
I mean, it took a long time to get there.
It took a long time to get there.
Yeah.
But that is when a phone call seemingly changed everything. Brittany always mailed her grandpa a birthday card. She didn't know his address at the time, so she mailed the card to her dad to give it to Grandpa. In 2023, Brittany's dad, John, had discovered something. The card had been put into a box, and her dad was going through that box when he found the card. This is the card that she sent him in 2004.
Okay.
It didn't have a regular stamp on the envelope. It had been stamped at a post office kiosk. Now, this is like different than just going to the post office, getting a stamp, putting it on there. And it showed that this had been stamped on September 29th, which would be 2 days after police believed that Brittany died.
That's pretty interesting.
That's definitely interesting.
On to the video footage.
No video footage.
That figures.
And I had to Google a postal kiosk because I've never used one and we don't have those here at our post office because it's like this big. But they are self-service machines that look like an ATM. So you can use them anytime. Well,
it's kind of like what you got at work.
Well, this one, yeah, it's pretty much like that, but it's like a big ATM looking machine.
Yeah.
But even if it's closed, you can get your envelope stamped and stuff and stick them straight into the mail.
Yeah.
So this is definitely, Maggie said, something that came from a kiosk. And that would mean that somebody else had to either mail that card for Brittany or that the police have their timeline wrong. So that changes a lot of things. But this was all over the news with this new theory in 2023, but no one came forward to say that they had mailed a card for her that year. So it's looking more like maybe the timeline was wrong. There was also another thing mentioned, and if anyone listening can clear this next part up, please drop a comment. I mean, someone who has knowledge of the Glen Eagle apartments back then. Reportedly, in the closets of the apartments was a small door that led to an attic space. Not that big of a deal, right? It's just extra storage. You probably see that a lot in apartments. But back then, supposedly, it was a shared attic space, meaning anyone from any other apartment on that floor could crawl up through that door into the attic and have access to every other apartment through their closet.
Well, I mean,
what?
That's a little creepy.
That's very creepy. Some have come out now and said that they have individual spaces, like they've been walled off, but I'm not sure how that was in 2004, and I need to know.
I mean, it adds another point of entry.
Exactly.
It could have been the creepy neighbor.
Exactly, or a friend visiting the creepy neighbor. Maybe they got creepy friends.
You're right.
That it means someone could have accessed the apartment through the unlocked front door, the open windows, the open balcony door, or through the attic now. So, goodness. Or another thing to think of is, did the killer open the windows and the balcony door? I know it sounds morbid, but maybe they wanted to air out the apartment. Do you know what I mean? Like, some people do things to take precautions to keep the smell of decomp from building up, right? You
Sure.
never know. Point is, we don't know if she had all those things open or if the killer opened those things. And there's one more thing I need to mention before we go on to the next case. And that's where we are right now. In June of 2025, they're waiting for something that could be another break in the case. Apparently, Brittany had DNA under her fingernails that had not been tested.
I mean, seriously? Why did it take 20 years?
Yes. To quote Sarah Boone, tell me and we'll both know. Because if you tested the semen, if you tested the blood, why did you not test what was under her fingernails? You're already there.
Yeah.
But now they've sent them off and they haven't got the results yet. So I don't know why it took so long, but at least they still had it, I guess, to test. We'll go with that. So there's a silver lining.
Sure.
And maybe something can still come of it. I hope. Maggie is still carrying on with the caravan, as we mentioned. And I don't think I mentioned it, but to add insult to injury, they did bury Brittany on her 19th birthday. So the hits just kept coming for the family.
Wow.
Yeah. They deserve some closure. So if you have any information, there is a website, BrittanyPhillipsMurder.net, or you can call the tip line at 918-596-9135. Got anything to add on that case?
No.
Just frustration?
No, that's just a lot of stuff that just they should have done in the beginning that could have probably helped.
Yeah.
I always talk about the first 48.
First 48.
Yeah, just dropping the ball.
We're well past that.
Yep.
And I think this is a good time to take a break and hear from today's sponsor before we start the next case.
All righty. Just hang in there with us. We'll be right back with the second part of the show. Is your washer and dryer pushing your buttons instead of the other way around? Make a clean getaway before you spin out of control.
For sheets and giggles, go ahead and call My Laundry Solutions today at 800-535-4411 if you live in an apartment. We know you're pressed for time, so you can also tumble on over to mylaundrysolutions.com, which is available 24/7. They are a wonderful company to do business with.
No credit check, free installations, all for about $1 a day.
That's sensational.
Give them a call. You won't be disappointed. Give them a call today. Great company, great people to work with.
Yes. Now, the next unsolved case we're going to talk about is more recent, but hasn't received as much coverage as Brittany's did. So here we are.
And can I say?
Say it.
Bruh.
Bruh. That's how I feel about the last case.
Bruh.
Seriously. This one also has had some recent movement, so yay for that. Totinika, or Ty, as she was known, grew up in Oklahoma City. Her mom, Tawana, said she was really sweet and a happy person. She was goofy, and you couldn't help but smile when you were around her. She was a homebody, same, and very family-oriented. She had a lot of it, like family, because she was the oldest girl of 9 siblings.
Shoo.
Yeah. She was raised with all of those siblings, her mom, dad, and grandmothers, both of them.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
The whole family was very close, and they liked getting together with other family for the holidays. Now, she and her high school sweetheart boyfriend, Trey Marr, had a baby boy in 2013. Then a year later, they welcomed a baby girl. She met Emily through Trey Marr's cousin in early 2016. Now, Emily Morgan had been raised in Hugo and lived there for most of her life. She loved softball, cheerleading, fashion, and modeling as a teenager, and she was a member of the Choctaw tribe. When she was 16 years old, she had her son, Peyton, and he became her passion in life. After graduating high school, she went to Oklahoma City to Rose State College, planning on pursuing environmental science like her mom, Kim. There were some interviews saying that she did some real estate stuff for a while too. And I bet she did several things, because reports are that Peyton's dad was in prison, so she was raising Peyton on her own.
Yeah, and I mean, that's kind of tough.
It is. It's tough but doable.
Yeah.
So all you single parents, hang in there.
Oh, yeah.
Kim says that Emily had an issue with substance abuse as well. She had even recently been in treatment. But she believed that Emily could have possibly relapsed after that last treatment stay. She was spending time with a drug dealer who allegedly was in a gang. He also had a wife and kids, but he supplied her with drugs, money, and gifts while she provided sex, and once a week, she made a drug run to McAllister and the surrounding areas for him. And this is what she was doing for money at the time. Sometimes she would do photo shoots in the time that she wasn't making runs. And when the two women met, they started becoming friends. Because if you haven't noticed, they were opposites. Ty didn't even drink, so hanging out with someone like Emily was kind of fun for her. It was just different from what she was used to. Ty would sometimes go to photo shoots with Emily to have some time out and get a break from the house and kids. Tawana had only met Emily a few times, but she had even taken care of Peyton a couple of times so that the women could go to these photo shoots and things. On August 26th of 2016, 23-year-old Emily needed to make a run to McAllister. So she asked Kim to keep Peyton. I cannot get these words out. I'm so sorry. Kim had plans, so she said that she couldn't watch it. So Emily took Peyton to Ty's house. 24-year-old Ty needed a break. So Trey Marr said that he would watch all of the kids so the women could make the trip. Now, this was not typical, according to Tawana. Trey Marr usually wouldn't want her to tag along on trips like this. But on this day, he made an exception and didn't try to talk her into staying at home.
I mean, living with a hermit is hard on us.
Oh, Lord. Right? You want them to get out of the house, but at the same time, you want them to be safe when they do.
Absolutely. I mean, I have to tell this one right here every once in a while, hey, let's go. Right.
Like I could go a month or two without leaving the house and not bat an eye.
Yeah.
Whereas you're like, go, go, go.
I'm like, I got to get out of here. It's like, I don't know how she don't get cabin fever.
Impossible.
So, I mean, I don't.
Okay.
What?
Nothing. It was already late at night, and McAllister was a 2-hour drive from Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
At some point that night, Trey Marr called Tawana saying that Ty had stopped answering her phone. But when he said that she went to McAllister, then Tawana knew that cell service was spotty there, so she didn't get too concerned with it right away. The next day, though, Trey Marr called Tawana again, but this time it was to tell her that the police had called him and told him that Ty had been found murdered. That night, the police were at Tawana's house telling her the same thing. Also on that day, which is the 27th, Kim couldn't get a hold of Emily. That wasn't like Emily because they talked every day. So she started looking for her, doing what people do, calling hospitals and jails, calling around to friends and family. And then someone sent her a message saying that 2 women had been found. And she said she knew immediately that one of them women was Emily.
All right, so what happened?
Well, some reports say that the women were last seen in McAllister at 11:15. Some reports say that they stopped at McDonald's in McAllister at about 11:30 and picked somebody up. So I'm assuming it was about 11:15 to 11:30 that they picked someone up from McDonald's in McAllister.
Okay, so you said that twice.
Yeah, because some said one thing, some said the other. So I'm just saying it's sometime in between there. The next day, a person who owned a vacant home in Beige, it's spelled B-A-C-H-E.
Is it beige or black?
It's spelled, when I looked it up and listened to the report,
Cage,
it said it was like
B.
Cage, but with a B. Yeah,
Okay.
Beige.
Okay.
Which is about 10 minutes away from McAllister. So somebody who owned a vacant house there went to check on that house. And then they called the police because there was a 2012 white Ford Fusion in the driveway under the carport. Our cat is having a breakdown in the hallway.
Yeah.
Now, inside of this car was Ty and Emily. Both had been shot in the head at close range, but there was no gun found at the scene. The passenger side window was like busted, and there was glass everywhere. There was a phone charger that was still plugged into the dash, but the other end was hanging out the window. So it was like the phone had been charging and someone reached in and grabbed it in a hurry and took off with it. The car keys were found in the front yard of the house like they had been thrown away from the car. Now get ready to get frustrated again.
Oh, God.
That's all we know.
What do you mean?
I mean, that's it. I would love to say that they found foreign fingerprints in the car or on the keys, or that they had surveillance footage from the McDonald's. I'd like to tell you where their phones are, where their phone data shows that they went. Anything, but we just don't know. The OSBI took on the case and said that they had collected evidence and done lots of interviews,
Sure.
but got nowhere. In 2020, okay, Kim found out that some of the neighbors around where they had found the car had never even been interviewed. And Kim has also said that she has repeatedly told them to look at the dealer. That's common sense.
Yeah.
She told them that Emily was dependent on him, that if he got mad at her, he would have her phone shut off or not pay her bills. She thinks that it's quite possible that Emily was demanding more drugs and money, and so he had it set up to have her killed that night on his run. She let them know that after the murders, the dealer actually called her, saying that he loved Emily, but then he also tried to buy Kim's silence in the same call. According to Kim, she told him, "If you think I'm going to keep my mouth shut about anything that I know about the relationship you had with Emily, then you've got another thing coming. If you loved her like you said you do, then you would want to do everything in your power to find her killer."
I mean, she's not wrong.
She's not wrong. And you got to think too, outside of the love aspect that she was talking about, there's the business side of things. If you're a drug dealer and in a violent gang and one of your runners gets killed and possibly robbed by the sound of things, that's fucking with your business too, your money, the respect on your name. Like, you don't want that. But the point is, why wasn't he more concerned? You know what I'm saying? Like, I would have been concerned about how the whole thing went down because she was on a run for him. Either way, this was almost the end of what we had to report on the case. I'm not going to lie. This has been sitting in my pending folder for almost a year because there's been so little information. No more investigation. In fact, the way Kim talks about how the police talked to her at the time of the murders, they blamed Emily, telling Kim that Emily knew what she was doing when she got involved in an illegal lifestyle.
Good job.
I was under the impression that all murders are supposed to be investigated.
Yeah.
Silly me. I did mention earlier that the OSBI, which is the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigations, originally had this case. At one point, Noyes insisted that it be turned over to the feds because of the McGirt ruling. So Noyes stands for Northeast Oklahoma Indigenous Safe and Education, which, spoiler alert, Kim is now on the board of, Go Kim. McGirt is something that we've talked about on here before. It was a ruling here in Oklahoma making the state take a back seat in trying cases due to all the native territories here.
Yeah, and I mean, moving a lot of cases to either federal or tribal courts.
Right.
You know,
right.
so I mean, it's doing some damn work.
Yeah. So Noyes was like, yeet the OSBI off this case.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a jurisdiction anymore. So where we are today is the BIA took over the case in April of this year. And that's the Bureau of Indian Affairs Missing and Murdered Unit. And they also have the Vidocq Society. Now, I've never heard of the Vidocq Society, so I found out some information on them too. This is a group of all volunteers, 82 of them to be exact. They are a nonprofit, and you can't just get into the club. It's by invite only. So don't call them, they'll call you. It was founded in 1990 and named after Eugene Vidocq. He was a French criminal who then became a cop, and apparently he inspired Edgar Allan Poe. Wow. Thought that was interesting. The Vidocq Society did a training in 2023 that the BIA went to. Then in April of this year, the society invited the BIA to one of their monthly meetings, and at this meeting, they all got to talking. The BIA talked about the ongoing issue that Indigenous people face, especially when it comes to missing and murdered cases. And even though the Vidocq Society only takes on 9 cases a year, they committed to dedicating at least one of those cases each year to a Native American victim. So for the first case under that agreement, they are taking on Emily and Ty's case.
Nice.
Yes. So hopefully, since we don't have a lot of information right now on an investigation, hopefully we can get somewhere. The families are very hopeful. Tawana has said, whether it's here on earth or Judgment Day with the Lord, it's going to be served. So, yay for that. Now, if you want to submit any tips to the BIA, you can call 833-560-2065. You can text BIAMMU and your tip to 847-411, or you can email OJS_MMU@BIA.gov. You got any thoughts on this one?
Not really. I mean, you know, it's nice that they have all these different organizations jumping in on these cases and everything because
from everywhere.
I mean, we need it, yes. Honestly, because, you know, you have so many of these cases that are just dead ends because either they're not getting any information or they're just not doing their job.
Yeah.
They're not taking the initiative to freaking go out and, you know, do the work, basically.
And sometimes it's because people just won't talk.
And then you got some that are like, oh, you know, they knew that they was getting involved in whenever they was doing drugs. Really?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
That's why there was no investigation.
Yeah, it's just, it doesn't matter as to what their preferences or any of that kind of crap is. I mean, yeah, okay, they could have chose a different life. But, you know, sometimes shit happens.
Very true.
I mean, honestly, and sometimes it's just, that's the way it rolls for them.
That's true.
I mean, life's a gamble.
Desperate times. I mean, just to hear that come out of the person who's supposed to be investigating your daughter's case.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Exactly.
The shirt. Now, if you like our content, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah, and, you know, tell your friends so they're not left out always because you know what? They deserve to see us too.
Every time.
But we do appreciate you guys watching and subscribing and everything and sharing our videos. And without you, it wouldn't be possible. So we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.